Hey, what's up? This is Ale here. It's time for another Nike collab, but this time with someone a little bit different to anyone that they've worked with before, in the form of Alyx designer Matthew Williams. This has been known about for a while with some coverage on media sites and a few cryptic images being teased. Well, now they've gone ahead and released the entire collection as a preview on Nike's official website for everyone to take a look at. For the uninitiated, Matthew Williams and Alyx have come up in the last 12 months or so with these tactical, military-inspired designs, although they're worn and appreciated as much, if not more so, in a streetwear context as opposed to techwear. And they really have got some popularity with things like their chest harness, their roller coaster belt especially, being seen quite heavily. So it's a name with a little bit of hype around it, and by extension, this collection has been anticipated, I feel, since its initial teasing a few months back. But also some hype around it because there's another chance for Nike to release some techwear gear this season, and I think techwear is a style that seems to be getting a little bit more recognition as of late, and the most recent ACG collection, their spring-summer stuff, was perhaps not quite what people were after or what they were expecting, so maybe the market is hungry for some more traditional techwear gear from a mainstream brand like Nike. It's also worth noting that this collection has drawn some inspiration, and perhaps a little more than that, from the Nike AAE collection that came out last year, which had a bit of a mixed reception when it initially came out. But anyway, I'm going to go through each individual item of the collection. There's both men's and women's stuff here, and then give some of my thoughts on the MMW collection as a whole. So the first item here, and I really feel the flagship piece of this collection, is the MMW men's jacket. This is a 3-layer jacket, it's all black, and by first impression, first look, very much bears that techwear aesthetic that perhaps people have been after from this collection, and Nike as a whole. It's all black, it's got an included face mask, it's got these little knitted cuffs, it's got quite a high neckline, so there's a lot going on here which gives that tactical techwear kind of aesthetic. And if you have a look down the front, there's also these little bits of molly webbing as well. A few extra pockets, a double zip, underarm ventilation too. All of these things sound pretty solid and pretty good. This is also a packable jacket, so the whole thing folds up into a little pouch, and there's an included carabiner, so you can just clip it onto something if you don't want to wear it. This seems like a pretty good idea, although I think it reveals a bit of a weakness with this jacket. And that is that aesthetically, at first glance, it gives the impression of something quite heavy duty, especially with those pieces of molly webbing down the front. However, I feel like because this is packable, that's not really going to be the case. I feel like in hand, it's going to be a lot thinner and a lot more delicate feeling than it perhaps looks in these product photos. The other thing that gives it away for me is that molly webbing on the front. It actually looks really thin and a bit flimsy, and when there's something that draws such a heavy inspiration from tactical gear and is designed for functionality and to have things resting on it, for that to look like it's not that sturdy, I don't really feel is a good look. In my eyes, this would have been better had they gone further with that heavy duty aspect, forgot about the whole packable thing, and instead really fleshed out those bits of molly webbing on the front and focused on those heavy duty performance features, rather than trying to get the lightweight aspect in there whilst also keeping all those coverage elements and things that make it look very heavy duty and tactical. Or maybe even split it up, done 2 jackets, done one very lightweight one with a different kind of aesthetic, and then one heavy duty one which looks a bit more like this one. I feel like that could have been quite successful. Also for outerwear, although this is really more of an accessory, we have the Kygo vest. I think this looks pretty cool. It's a very, very lightweight harness chest bag thing. Alyx are so well known for the more heavy duty chest rig that it's cool that they've mixed something up here and gone for a very athletic looking, much lighter weight piece of gear. This is pretty expensive, it comes in at $200, but I feel like you can get some quite cool looks out of this. You could certainly apply this to a more heavy duty techwear kind of look and more winter inspired things, as well as this lighter weight athleisure running activewear kind of style that they've gone for here. It looks like there's quite a lot of little interesting details and pockets and features and stuff, including that one on the back which looks like it's designed for a water bottle or something. So I think there's some pretty cool functionality and options here. I also think it looks quite cool undone. It gives a nice little blend between the military and the athleisure kind of style. On to the first women's piece now, and I think one of the more unusual things in this collection. This is the women's top. It's a 2-layer garment, so the outer layer is this mesh almost full length top. And then underneath that, you have a little pouch with some crossed straps and a little back section. It looks very lightweight, very futuristic, and that under level having a little bit of storage there I think is pretty cool, because my understanding is that women's workout gear tends to basically have no pockets or storage at all, which is pretty annoying if you want to take, you know, anything with you. And you could of course wear this without the outer top and just have the little bag, and then it makes a kind of tiny, very feminine styled chest rig, which I think is again pretty cool. $200 seems like a lot for something that isn't actually made of that much material, but as always with a collab release like this and something which has multiple different layers or multiple ways of wearing one garment, there is always going to be a higher price on something like that. So I don't think it's really unexpected. Also for women's upper body stuff, they have this little sports bra, which I think looks pretty cool. It's quite full looking and it has this little strap that runs along the top as well. So again, similar to the last thing, it's very futuristic looking and certainly designed for those high intensity workouts. There's also a little mesh pocket on the back, so yeah, in general, a nice little futuristic athleisure piece of clothing. There's a few upper body things for men, one of which is the long sleeve t-shirt. This comes in a sort of ecru type color, sort of light bone, light oatmeal kind of thing, whatever you want to call it. Looks very, very similar to some of the AAE stuff that came out last year. And I think they've used the same running data to build this t-shirt. So what they did for that collection was they used data to work out where people get hottest so they can add ventilation in the appropriate places. So it looks like they've done exactly that here. So fair enough, cool feature. I think the mock neck looks cool, and I think the different perforations along the different parts of the body look pretty good. And it's certainly an interesting and cool feature that it has been data led. It gives it some real futuristic credentials basically. But at $150, it is still quite plain looking. There's only some minor Nike MMW branding on here, so there's not too much to shout about, and it's quite expensive for that. So I think it's going to be a bit of a niche pickup, but there's certainly nothing wrong with it. There's a very similar short-sleeved version, again using that data-driven approach to create a high-tech garment that has ventilation in all the right places. $20 less, so if you want to get involved in this collection but you want to save yourself a bit of cash, then maybe go for this one instead. It seems like a pretty decent cut. It looks a little bit less tight than a lot of running or athleisure gear is, so a bit more of a casual or relaxed look, and hopefully still keeping you nice and cool. There are some graphic tees as well. These are just cotton though, so there's no crazy science data-driven stuff going on here. They have a little bit of graphics on, kind of similar to how the ACG t-shirts tend to come out, where they've got a little bit going on here and there, but there's nothing too crazy or over the top. So again, this is something where if you want to get involved with this collection, but you're thinking that a lot of it seems a bit too expensive, you just want to wear this in a more casual or more streetwear context, then this is probably going to be the pickup for you. I'm not a huge fan of the big swoosh over the shoulder, but there is a very small centered one with the MMW branding as well, which I think is just quite nice and tasteful. Before I move on to the bottom half stuff, I should of course mention the Balaclava. This comes in at $80 and it's a much fuller looking Balaclava than what Nike would normally come out with. It goes quite far down the chest, which lend itself to being worn both under things because you're not going to get an awkward like skin gap, and also over the top of other things as they're using these product photos, just because it kind of fleshes things out a little bit, and I think it looks particularly good with the little chest harness part of the women's top. The branding on this is quite cool, and it's also nice that it folds up and has that little carrying thing. But $80 of course is a lot of money, considering especially that when it comes to face masks and stuff, they're not the kind of thing that people go out wearing every day. It's either going to be flexing outfits on Instagram, doing the whole anonymous techwear, spooky cyber ninja type thing, or if it really, really is very cold to the point that you feel the need to cover up your entire face. And it does seem strange to release this in the middle of the summer. Currently it's like 27 degrees in here. I'm absolutely boiling in this room. So the thought of wearing a balaclava is just not something that I want to be dealing with right now. I think this is something that people are mostly going to pick up for the flex appeal and for taking cool outfit pics with. So if that's your kind of style, or you're missing out on a balaclava but you want something that's a little bit special compared to the normal Nike stuff, then yeah, why not pick this up? Onto the lower half now, and there's a few cool bits here. There are pants for both men and women, although I have to say that I feel like the women's version looks a little bit more interesting than the men's. They've got a cool little additional mesh pocket. They seem to have a little bit of a nicer shape to them as well, and they have a cool little centered zipped back pocket, whereas the men's one just has an off-center non-zipped pocket. So I feel like the guys aren't getting the best deal out of this one, but nonetheless both of them seem okay. They don't really look as cool in my opinion as some of the ACG ACG things like the woven pants and the cargo pants, but they're just an alternative option if you're not quite feeling the aesthetic of those things. The men's version particularly kind of reminds me of a more fleshed out, more fully featured version of the Nike bonded woven pant. So if you like the look of those, but you think I want something that looks a bit cooler and is a bit more exclusive, a bit more special, then you could go for these instead. They are quite expensive. These are $250, which is more than the ACG cargos. Admittedly though, they do come with a little fidlock belt, so you're getting a little bit of extra value out of that, whereas normally the ACG cargos, I think one did actually, often they don't have belt loops at all. So you're getting a little bit extra there. The men's tights look like a very interesting option, partly because I didn't expect them to come up in exactly this form. They are shorts and running tights in one. So if you've wanted to hop on board with that shorts and tights aesthetic, then this is a very good way to do that in one fell swoop, because these things look pretty good together, I think. The shorts part of this strikes quite a rare balance between being quite slim fit and having loads of pockets all over it in that true techwear approved style. Some people are perhaps going to find this a little over the top, and to be honest, are you really going to need every single one of those pockets if you're going out running or in some kind of environment where you would use this shorts and tights combo? Probably not, but I do think that it looks pretty cool and it's quite an interesting take on this kind of style. And interestingly, there's a little built-in towel as well, so you can clip this onto the back of the shorts, and then if you get hot and sweaty on your run, then you can just towel yourself down. That I can really see the use for in an athleisure scenario, and I'm surprised that that sort of thing hasn't really been done yet, so that's quite cool. There seems like some decent functionality in here, and you do get that fidlock belt as well in the same way that you get with the pants. Although unfortunately you really are paying the price for these come in at $270 or £230, which makes it, I think, the second most expensive piece of this collection, and that is simply because there are so many different parts to it. But I feel like for a lot of people this is going to be a lot to ask for something which again is very athleisure looking, so it's not necessarily something that you're going to be wearing that often in a streetwear context, for example. And finally the socks, not an insane amount to say about these. They have this weird dual layered thing going on, so it kind of looks like you're wearing two pairs of socks. I'm not 100% sure about that, but at least they're not too expensive. And that is everything in the collection. So aesthetically to me, this looks like a bit of a crossbreed between some of the more recent ACG things, which do take more of that athleisure kind of turn, especially the women's stuff, and the AAE collection from last year, which uses that data-driven, science-based stuff to develop products which are designed to be very, very functional and utilitarian. The problem with that collection was aesthetically a lot of people weren't really that impressed, I don't think. So I feel like that aims to rectify some of these problems, not least by changing the color to mostly being black, which for a lot of people is going to be a lot more wearable. And I think Nike bringing out this collab collection, which does use black quite heavily, has been something that people have been after, what with the ACG collection not really going for that and instead using a lot of bold colors instead. So I think some of the pieces of this collection do have some potential to be worn in techwear contexts. The jacket, the pants, the tights and shorts combo, the balaclava, perhaps even that little chest rig backpack type thing as well. Although one thing that did surprise me, and perhaps will surprise quite a few people who have been paying attention to Alyx, is how closely this line takes inspiration from that athleisure and from that running gear. I feel like people would have expected a lot more tactical and military inspiration in the same way as Alyx's mainline stuff, and a collection that was a lot more similar to that gear. I expect that's a conscious decision. Alyx probably don't want to cannibalize their own market by producing more of their own stuff but under a different label. So the result is something which is, yeah, different to mainline Alyx and different, I think, as well to a lot of normal Nike running gear. So in that sense makes it quite a successful collab. But I think for a lot of consumers, that relationship with running gear is going to put them off because this isn't going to be that wearable in a streetwear context. Techwear, perhaps, yes, you're going to get a little bit more free reign over that because, as I say, I think with some of those more running inspired things, you can wear them alongside techwear gear and it's going to mesh and blend quite well. But if you're wearing, for example, a full MMW outfit, then chances are you're going to look like you're going out for a run or doing some exercise, and for a lot of people that's not necessarily the look that they want to be putting across. The exception to that I think is the jacket, but there, as I say, there was, I feel, a little bit of missed potential in that they made it this blend between heavy duty and lightweight, which I'm not really sure works as well as it could have done. So for me, this is the kind of collection where you might take one piece and then incorporate that into an existing techwear outfit, as opposed to trying to build a full techwear outfit out of this stuff exclusively. So I'm looking forward to seeing the kinds of ways that people wear this stuff when it releases. I think the release date is July 12th, something like that. I will put the actual release date down there in the description with some links and stuff as well, so you can check this stuff out at your leisure. But that has been everything on the Nike MMW collab collection. Let me know what you think about this. Is this the kind of thing that you expected? Is this a little bit different? Do you think that you're likely to pick some of this stuff up? Either way, do let me know down there in the comments. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, as always, do please leave me a little like. It is much appreciated. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Shout out, I am Fozzie. I'm never going to be able to erase that image from my mind now whenever I think about those shoes, so thanks for that. And shout out to Grease, I kind of felt the same way. I didn't initially like them when I saw the product images, but then seeing them in hand and getting to appreciate the dog mountain a little bit more, I was converted a little bit. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of this video. There's going to be some more ones going up there if you want to check those out. And if you want to subscribe, catch some future things when they go up. Next week's video is going to be on Outlier, some cool summer stuff from them. So make sure you're subscribed and you can see that video as soon as it comes out.